Hey guys, it's WolfMaiden, and today I'm super excited to talk to you about the idea of Get Together LARPs. I don't know if this phrase existed before, but I'm gonna use it. My definition of Get Together LARPs is a LARP with a group of friends that basically takes the place of normal get-togethers that you have. It's a LARP whose main goal is to change an ordinary get-together of friends into something more, something magical, into a LARP. It can be an excuse to spend time together. It can be a party, or it could even be surrounding an activity that you guys want to do together. This is less of an undertaking than making a dedicated LARP with your friends, like in my other video, how to start a LARP with your friends. With Get Together LARPs, you can incrementally make rules for what you're going to be doing that event, that evening, that afternoon, whatever event you're going to have with your friends. So it's a make-as-you-go system. The idea is to have one activity or kind of group of activities that you can make systems for or play with very easily with LARP and just kind of plug in and go. I know a lot of you want to LARP, but there's not one around you. Maybe you have a group of friends that want to LARP and you can't all go and you'd like to do something together. I feel like this addresses some of that. And this is a solution so that you can decide this week you want to go LARP, and maybe in a week or maybe two, you've got a little get together LARP and you're good to go. So you can use this system to incrementally make rules and mechanics for games for the future. And if you make a mechanic now, you can refine it too. So if you're playing back to back to back the same stuff, you can just keep getting better as you're going along. So there's that plus as well. So in this video, I'm going to outline the steps that you need to take in order to get to the point of having your own get-together LARP. You can always change and mend things, but I'm just going to show an outline of different stuff, different ideas for how to get you started, because the idea is to get you started quickly. So, how to start? First, what does your group want out of LARPing? You should think about what the primary point of the LARP is for your friends. Do you guys want to have a party and there's costuming and role play? Do you guys want to do an event like painting or cooking together and make it into a LARP? Do you guys want something lighthearted, or do you want something with heavy role play and you get more into your emotions or into your character? Do you guys want to play a specific fantasy races, or dress up in a particular time period's regalia, or maybe build and try out character ideas that they have? So with that in mind, you can write down these ideas and the consensus that you guys come to. If somebody wants to do something else completely different, but they're okay with going with what the rest of the group wants to do, maybe throw them a bone next time and try and do things for them. But for now, your first event, fill out what everybody agrees on doing for the first time. So you have genre, activity or activities, role play, light or heavy, location, story, and game systems needed. So this will be what you need to fill out for your group. You can add or remove things if necessary. I feel like this is maybe a bare minimum or a good starter so that you can kind of maybe think of more things you might need to implement or put into your game. But otherwise, this is a good start. So second, during the sit down, who wants to help out? Figure out who's interested in helping with rules or with a scenario. If it is necessary for somebody to be a game master or a rule maker, you can have somebody volunteer to do that. You could round robin that, and you can cycle through everybody to be a game master per event or whatever you decide in that regard. But if your game is very heavy on mechanics, or maybe you just have somebody who wants to be the storyteller, a game master can help facilitate that. So if there needs to be an NPC, they can fill that role. They are maybe the banker or the shopkeep or the chef, depending on the scenario. But any and all help that your friends want to give is going to be welcome, especially if you have a very small group of 4 or 5. Remember, there doesn't need to be like a murder mystery or a huge plot line for everybody to have fun doing activities together in character. It can help and it can enhance things and could help fuel a storyline over time, but you don't need that right off the bat. If you come up with a humble beginning for your characters, that will be enough to start. And then as things evolve in character and people have more ideas, you can come together and somebody can go, I have a story that I want to tell. I want to be the game master this time. Or somebody throws a plot line out there and you guys go with it and see what happens in character. That kind of thing. Next is background. You want to work on story background together for your characters. If it's integral to your story or plot, you can keep things secret. But if you guys want to have shared histories or things like that, you know, like family members, long lost loves, whatever it is that you want to conjure up, you're gonna have to write that background out. So having a sheet for characters to start with, even if it's just as simple as character name, some background about them, age, their fantasy race, or if applicable, their role if that's applicable, and why they're there, that kind of thing, like things that help them get a sense of who they are and what they're going to be trying to do at the event. So I've made a simple form. You can add or remove from this form as needed as well, but there is character name, age, race, background, role, and why they're there. So next is combat rules. If you don't want to have combat or you don't have the space for it, don't worry, you can skip this. It's not necessary to have combat, but if you do, here's some things to think about. So my number one is have a dedicated space for combat. You don't want to fight where there's tons of hazards, there's holes in the ground, there's water, there's just, I don't know, rabid wild animals outside. You just want to have a dedicated area for combat if there needs to be combat. And then you want to create a system for combat. It can be based on everybody has 10 hit points or 5 hit points or something like that, and when they get hit, they lose 1, and just keep it very simple so you guys don't have to moderate so much. So you could do a limb system where each limb has health, and when you're struck in the arm, you lose that arm. If you're struck in the other arm, you lose that arm. If you're struck on your leg or legs, you would have to kneel or get on the ground, and get struck in the chest, you die instantly. So you can do other things related to that, have a hit point system, have an armor system, but keeping it simple will help you guys a lot. As you go along, you can always amend and add more if you want more complicated combat, but if you want some fluid combat, make sure that you can use simple rules. Safety is also important here. Make sure you have something to call out when somebody's actually injured, so everybody will stop and you'll check up on the person who's injured. Even in very small scenarios, this can be helpful, especially if you are very heavy on the roleplay. If you are already a part of a LARP with its own rules for combat, if you like that kind of system, like it's an HP system or it's a limb system, maybe try to adapt and use those if you guys like that idea. Don't directly rip off rules or anything, but take from concepts that are familiar with you that everybody likes, if that's the case. Next, number 5 is game systems and props. You want to come up with game systems and use props to enhance the gameplay. For a specific example, let's say you guys are all merchants. So maybe everybody writes up their own merchant licenses. They're all signed and stamped or sealed, whatever you want, whatever kind of touches you want to put on it. You all bring them to the LARP, and maybe you're filing it with the bank, and you get your first stall open or store open, and maybe you're crafting during this event. So as you're crafting, each item you craft, depending on what you craft, gains you money, and that money you would need to make a banking system. Maybe it's as simple as a paper where you keep a tally of everybody's money. Maybe it's banknotes that have a number written on them of how much money you have. Either way, game systems and props can help just add an extra something to it. Other common props would be wooden plates, utensils that are, you know, in character. Maybe if you're not doing medieval fantasy, you would have more rough looking or worn looking things, or torn tapestries, or that kind of thing. Number 6 is dedicated space. I mentioned dedicated space for combat, but very likely if you can't afford it, or you just don't have a venue right now, or you're just like, I'm playing this week. I'm gonna do this as soon as possible. I've got my house, I'm gonna LARP there. If that's the case, then make sure that you have a dedicated space where you're role playing. If it's a tavern night and you're drinking and playing games in character, winning and losing money in character, then you're going to want to have, you know, maybe the kitchen is the role play area, and maybe when you go off to the side room, you can have a side conversation or something like that, but you all are determined to try your best to stay in character in the kitchen. I think that would help for a smaller LARP where everybody who knows each other might end up wanting to talk about things outside of the LARP, but just try to be conscious of that, and depending on if you want to be very roleplay heavy, make sure that you have a little dedicated space so that that want is satisfied there. I'm currently in the process of making my own Get Together LARP, and there are plenty of campsites and cabins all over the place. You can always, if you have the funds and your friends have the funds, contribute to a weekend or something in a fancy cabin and you all stay there and play inside, and it's a great time. So that's an idea that you might want to consider. I've been looking at cabins myself and found some really neat ones, so you never know what's out there. Take a look, and with enough friends splitting equally the amount, you can really make some fantastical things work. You might even kind of make them into a vacation. Number 7, trial and error. Do not be afraid to make systems or rules that don't work, because you probably will at some point, and that's okay. So you're gonna play and you're gonna try it, and then maybe it sucks and nobody likes it, and that's okay. You come together after the event, you can ask everybody how it went, what they liked, what they didn't like. If rules really don't work or they ruined everybody's fun, maybe throw those out or change them a bit if they're necessary, and try to focus on refining your rules after each game so that from game to game, you guys continue to have fun and have more fun as you refine things.
So during editing, I realized I skipped an important step, number 8, which is keep track of everything. You want to make sure that you keep track of characters' achievements. If there's in-game money, make sure the amount in everyone's bank gets put on a sheet somewhere and saved from game to game. You can add them online on Google Docs or Google Spreadsheets or whatever is easiest for your group. Just make sure that nobody loses progress because it wasn't recorded during or after the event. If necessary, have someone trusted in the group be a bookkeeper or entrust each person to record progress on a character sheet. Really, the method doesn't matter, but make sure it's all documented.
Number 9, which is continuity. You may not want an event that goes from one to the other with the same characters and the same genre and the same activities. Figure out if you guys want this long plot line to be strung along, or if you just want to play post-apocalyptic one day and then medieval fantasy the other. Maybe you're shooting each other with, I don't know, paintballs or something, and then the next time you're like in the kitchen and you're all cooking together and having fun. Like, it doesn't matter, just have fun with your Get Together LARPs, and because you're not locked into that dedicated, always having to do the same thing because that's that LARP event, you can explore and try other things. So figure out if everybody would like to do that. You can always also bring characters in and out for the different settings that you play if you're doing different settings. So lastly is collaborate. Like most role-playing games, this is a group game, and you have to be mindful of each other, of each other's feelings and thoughts, and you don't want to constantly be doing ideas that only these people want to do or only those people want to do. You want to try and kind of rotate and do some of the ideas that other people want to do. Collaboration means cooperation. It means compromise. So keep that in mind. It's okay if not everyone wants the same things, and I just say be open to new experiences. Try and play through the different ideas that everybody has if nobody can agree, until you all really find something that you like, or you find a good kind of schedule rotation of events so that you're doing post-apocalyptic, and then you're doing medieval fantasy, and then you're doing steampunk, and it's going around in circles there. Or I don't know, maybe you're doing a friggin' mermaid game in modern times. I don't know, you do you. Sounds super fun. So my advice is be kind, be open to trying new things, and try your best to be fair when deciding things. I hope these steps help you guys when you're creating your own Get Together LARPs. I would love to hear how your events go if you try to make a Get Together LARP. I will also have some ideas for activities or things you can base your Get Together LARPs on another time in another video. And when I do host my own Get Together LARP, I'll make sure that I show you guys some of that and how it went. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care.